Good morning, everyone. Peace out. All right. Amazon, give us flash briefing.
Jamie, getting your flash briefing. In NPR News.
NPR News.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Corva Coleman. A hearing is underway in New York for the white gunman who shot and killed 10 black people to death at a supermarket in Buffalo last year.
I wonder if they'll mention the
Peyton
derailment
Jenner
in
pleaded guilty
Ohio.
and is expected to face life in prison. He had specifically targeted black victims. The Federal Bureau of Prisons is shutting down a troubled maximum security
they found
facility.
5 chemicals
It's
in the
Special
Ohio
Management
River,
Unit at the federal
which
prison
goes
in
down
Thompson,
to
Illinois.
Mississippi.
A recent report by NPR and the Marshall Project called it one of the country's deadliest prisons. NPR's Joseph Shapiro reports.
And
The Bureau of Prisons says it moved to close the unit after its own investigation found what it called significant concerns about how the Illinois facility operated. Some 350 men are being transferred to other federal prisons. The prison even sees investigation and investigations by others, including the Inspector General for the U.S. Department of Justice, came after stories last spring by NPR and the Marshall Project exposed high levels of abuse and violence. Those stories reported a string of prisoner deaths, often when 2 men were kept locked down in one tiny solitary confinement cell, and of men placed in restraints, often for long periods of time and in violation of federal prison policy. Joseph Shapiro, NPR News.
A Senate committee will be hearing from the acting head of the Federal Aviation Administration this morning. As NPR's Windsor Johnston tells us, he's expected to be questioned about a recent computer outage that delayed thousands of airline flights in the U.S.
Acting FAA Administrator Billy Nolan is expected to tell lawmakers that new safeguards have been adopted after a ground stop disrupted all flights in the U.S. for nearly 2 hours last month. Nolan is also expected to testify that the agency has since taken steps to ensure that bad data from a database cannot affect a backup system. Lawmakers have been considering possible reforms to the FAA ahead of the deadline in September to reauthorize the agency.
NPR's Windsor Johnston reporting. Stocks are trading lower after strong retail sales data from the Commerce Department. As NPR's David Gura reports, investors are trying to figure out how this will affect the Federal Reserve's appetite for more interest rate hikes going forward.
In January, retail sales were higher than Wall Street expected. They were up by 3%, with the biggest gains in spending at bars and restaurants. Spending on cars also rose. Investors are holding out hope the Federal Reserve will feel comfortable enough with the progress it's made trying to fight high inflation. But recent data on the labor market, which remains incredibly strong, and prices, the latest consumer price index showed inflation was hotter in January than forecasted, is raising doubts. And Fed policymakers have been saying in speeches this week there's still more work for the central bank to do. So it's likely more interest rate hikes are coming. David Gura, NPR News, New York.
Don't give them
You're
no more
listening
tax
to
money.
NPR News from Washington.
Cut them off. They do the
Officials
wrong
in New
thing with
Zealand
it.
have declared a disaster after a major cyclone struck the country.
Our tax money is
Flooding
supposed
and
to help our people.
landslide damage is substantial. At least 4 people have
Not just
died.
line their
Hundreds of
pockets
people cannot be reached.
of the
Officials
elite.
say communication has been cut off to
The
many.
government.
Indian media say
They
that
do the wrong
tax
thing with it. They
authorities are
give it away to
conducting
other
a second
countries
day of
for
raids
war
on the BBC's offices in Delhi and
profit.
Mumbai. NPR's
Supposed
Lauren
to be to
Freya
help
reports the
our
raids
communities.
come just weeks after the British broadcaster aired a documentary
Period.
critical of India's prime minister.
Condemnation has poured in from press freedom advocates inside
Let's stop
India
giving our
and
taxes
around
to the
the
federal
world.
government,
The
period.
Press Club
Let's
of
just
India
give it to our
calls
local
raids on the
communities.
BBC a clear-cut case of
You know?
vendetta. Amnesty International calls them an affront to
Our
free
state,
speech.
our cities.
Reaction was more muted, though,
the money
from
to
the
them
U.S. government.
to fix
the
up
State
our
Department
cities, to
spokesperson referred
help the
journalists
people in our
to Indian
cities,
authorities,
and to heck
adding
with
that
the
Washington
feds.
supports
Don't
free
send your
press
crap to the
around
feds.
the world. The Indian government has alleged tax fraud
If
against
you
several
are
independent
in the
media and
state
human rights
government,
groups that have
you
criticized
keep
it
that
in
money
the
in the
past.
state. Don't
The
send it to
BBC
the feds,
recently ran a
man.
documentary about Prime Minister
voice for the
Narendra
people.
Modi's role in anti-Muslim riots 2 decades ago. The BBC says it's cooperating with Indian authorities. Lauren
I'm sure
Farrell, NPR News,
your state will be on
Later
board with
today
keeping everything in the
US,
state.
The Woods Hole
Not sending
Oceanographic
it to the
Institute
feds.
is going to release some rare footage of the wreckage of the Titanic. This was filmed in 1986 during a dive by explorers. That was the first time the massive ocean liner had been seen since it sank in 1912, killing about 1,500
The federal
people.
government is corrupt,
I'm
so
Corva
therefore
Coleman,
all
NPR
states
News,
are withholding the
Washington.
federal taxes
On the Code Switch
and keeping it
podcast,
for state use.
conversations about race and identity don't begin or end with the news
Amazon.
cycle.
Skip.
In weather. Currently, in Seattle, it's 31 degrees Fahrenheit with clear skies and sun. Today, you can expect mostly sunny weather, with a high of 46 degrees and a low of 33
Your
degrees.
states can secede from the
NASA.
Union.
NASA and its international partners
Louisiana's
have
done it
approved the
multiple
crew for
times.
Axiom Space's second private astronaut mission to the International Space Station, Axiom Mission 2, AX-2. NASA has awarded Blue Origin, LLC of Kent, Washington, a task order to provide launch service for the agency's Escape and Plasma Acceleration and Dynamics Explorers, Escapade, mission as part of the agency's venture class acquisition of dedicated and rideshare, VADR, launch services contract. NASA is now seeking procurement ideas and solutions to encourage innovation from diverse perspectives, improve reach, reduce barriers, and ultimately meet and exceed agency goals.
All states need to secede from the Union.
NASA has selected Navarro Research and Engineering Incorporated of Oak Ridge, Tennessee, for the Environmental Compliance and Operations 3 ECO 3 contract, which provides environmental restoration program services and other support at the agency's White Sands Test Facility in Las Cruces, New Mexico.
They're not even telling you that they poisoned the
NASA
water.
has selected Autonomic
With that
Integra
derailment of
of
150
Maryland
cars.
for specialized scientific support services to the Goddard Institute for Space Studies, GISS, in New York.
5
That's
chemicals
all for your flash briefing.
have already been detected in the Ohio River, which is connected to the Mississippi. This was caused by the federal government not allowing workers to go on strike because they needed to fix the rail carts and monitor them and monitor railroads, and they didn't have enough people to do it. And plus, during the Trump administration and all these other administrations, they allowed extra carts to be added to the train, so now you got 150 cart train being pulled that's causing even more problems. Our government has failed us. They're corrupt. They give away all of our money for war under the guise of humanitarian help. We should all secede from the Union. Every state secede from the Union. They should be working for our people's benefits, not giving away our money to others. Secede from the Union, every state. Good luck.